We've seen it 100 times before that was entered for whatever reason, but was never running in this race. And I scratch into the other Wesley Ward horse. My picks in here now are 1, 2, 8, 7. We are having some graphical issues right now, but our crack staff is working on it and done a great job just being able to get us in the air, actually. So we thank them for that, but hopefully we'll have that cleared up. I like 1, 2, 7 in this race. Tesserina, I don't think there's much to say, to be honest with you, about him. I could use any of the 1, 2, and 8. I probably could have put Nick Zito's drop down, the run happy. That's it. Wow, that was fast, guys. Nice job. I don't have a lot to say. They are who they are. The 1 and 2 are probably the likeliest winners over the 8.
Yep. I used the 1, 2. If I wanted to use a third, I might throw in the 5 there, Cavalry, who gets back to the dirt, gets Lasix for the first time on the dirt. We'll see if that helps. Jose Ortiz rides. If you're looking for a horse that's going to be a bigger price than the 2 favorites, I would go with the 5.
Yeah, there's not much to say.
No.
Obviously, if Tesserina runs a race 3 back, she'll win. She was terrible last time at even money. I don't have a real excuse for her. It's hard to have a strong opinion on anybody in this race, but the one that Wesley Ward stays in, probably the likeliest winner, but a hard one to overly.
I believe she's the trivia question, the answer to the trivia question too, Tesserina. She was the first American Pharaoh to run. Remember that? She ran in our Aqueduct 2-year-old race.
Quite a race she ran.
Yeah.
Nonsuch Bay. Frank Alexander, the late Frank Alexander,
yes,
trained Nonsuch Bay, I think, right? The dam.
I believe so.
Is that right? No? I thought so.
I believe you're right.
I could be wrong. Race number 2. Big scratch for Anthony in race number 2. He saved money, not betting on Molino, but it is your loyalty to Chad Brown, even with horse being massively overbet, has been noted. So you got credit for that. But unfortunately for them, the horse won't run. Fortunately for you, you won't be able to lose your money on this horse.
Such a sick man.
That horse was a horrendous bet against. But the problem is you've picked another horse, but we'll get to that horse in a moment. I think the horse to beat in here is the 2, Kid Bourbon. I think it's between Kid Bourbon and Mr. Kringle, personally. We'll start with Kid Bourbon's race 2 back. And this was a race, and I like how the riders really learned from this. They let Heeman Harkey run off and set a big lead and steal a race in this one, and they almost let him do it yesterday at 46 to 1.
That was somewhat, yeah, you know what?
I give him a lot of credit.
Make a great point.
I mean, honestly, he's making a lot of Hall of Famers look silly with these rides. Seriously.
He almost pulled that off yesterday again.
I don't know what riders have against allowing speed horses to run early. And I don't know what evidence there is when speed horses are able to run early that they aren't able to finish late. I've yet to see that evidence.
It happens all the time.
There's some pamphlet or something that we don't know about, and they have to rate them all. I think Kid Bourbon has many back races that are good. He was much the best last time when he had trouble at the start and would have won that race if he didn't have the trouble at the start. He's back to his better form, and his better form is better than these in the turf, and I just think he's the horse to beat. What did I miss about Montatham?
I don't know. I thought Montatham ran pretty well off of the 14 months last time. That these horses, this is one of the horses that Kieran McLaughlin gave up when he retired. Joe Lee, his longtime assistant, took over. I thought the horse ran okay in the sprint. It was the first time sprinting. Now the horse stretches out, second off the long layoff. I know there's been some time between the 2 races, almost 2 months, which I'm not thrilled with. But I thought this horse at a price was an alternative.
What evidence do you have the time matters?
The race before.
What evidence do you have the time matters?
I don't.
Yesterday you thought Tom Morley's horse needed more distance in the stake, and the horse.
But the
horse almost lost at 7 furlongs.
The races before the break. I mean, the
horse was off for 14 months. That's more
right, but came back and ran. This horse didn't run too far from the figures he ran before he left, and maybe he needed one off 14 months. I don't know. He's going to be a decent price in a race where I don't think you could really trust any of these horses. A lot of these horses have had Kid Bourbon's 1 for 14, Mr. Kringle's 1 for 13. I mean, do I really want to rely on these horses? These horses that have had a million opportunities and don't get the job done? I mean, Mr. Kringle is the male edition of Mirabella May.
We'll get to him in a second. He's not impossible. He has one race that gives him a chance in here. It was a race last time where the pace pretty much held together, Montatham, and he did make a little bit of a run. I think it's a race that looks better for him on paper than it actually was, but I don't think he ran that badly in there. Future Victory's not a horse I particularly like. I actually wonder if Future Victory might be better off with less distance. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's finishing that well in his races. We'll see if maybe he's just not that good. As far as Mr. Kringle, I don't disagree with you that Mr. Kringle is not a winning type. He's got the 1 win in 13 starts, and he's got the bevy of seconds and thirds, and you're not wrong to say it about Kid Bourbon as well, but Kid Bourbon's only run 3 times in the turf. So to be fair, it's not as though he's proven himself to be a loser on the turf. As far as Mr. Kringle, I don't disagree. He's had a chance. Listen, my entire play was based on playing against the number 7 Molino. And now Kid Bourbon's going to be about 6-5. And Mr. Kringle's going to be about 3-1. So I've lost any kind of value because whether I was right or wrong, I thought Molino was a great bet against in this race. Now, maybe I would have been proven wrong, but for me, as a bettor, all the value's gone because specifically the horse that was going to be, in my opinion, massively overbet has been scratched. As far as Mr. Kringle, this horse has too many races that are good enough to win this race, and he's not going to be a short price. I don't disagree with you. He is absolutely a bit of a proven loser. He's had his chances. He's lost races, but you know, when he was 3-5 and he lost to Winning Factor, as we know, would be a huge favorite.
Of course.
A horse you've picked against better horses, Sanctuary City, Scano. He was overbet against horses that turned out to be good, but he is who he is. I think it's between the 2 and 4 here. I hear you. Montatham isn't totally impossible in here. He does have one back race that gives him a chance to win here. I don't disagree. I don't really like him, but he could win.
Okay.
Race number 3, a lot of guessing in race number 3 with mostly first-time starters. Were you surprised that Wesley Ward didn't scratch one half of the entry?
I was.
I was. That was the biggest shock on today's card.
Yeah, little surprising. I would agree with that.
You like, as far as the 2 Wesley Wards, just to touch on them, this is on the turf at 6 furlongs. Turf is firm. I didn't think either one of these horses did so much running that I'm supposed to fall myself. That an entry, it's going to, with Irad and Jose Ortiz, it's going to be like 4-5 or 3-5 just because. Boy, I didn't think either one of them did anything earth-shattering that I'm supposed to run to bet them at a short price. So I looked for an alternative. You've taken the number 8. And Jelly Blue.
Yeah, both of the Wesley Ward horses have run, like Andy said. I mean, to be 4-5 in here just because they're an entry, I think they're a great bet against in the win pool. Yeah, I went with Jelly Blue. 2 of the 3 siblings from this mare have won on the turf. She was 1 for 4 on the turf. She's a Galileo. Working down at Monmouth, had the last breeze up here. Reach out for Joel Rosario. I was told this horse could run a little bit.
So you have a tip in this horse. Okay.
I do. Yeah.
This horse's 2-year-old workout was not good. And that may be one of the reasons this horse sold for only $20,000. And obviously, I have this horse in as well. As like you, I saw the pedigree as well, and I want to use this horse. And it does seem like Kelly Breen's barn has these 2-year-olds ready to run. Their horse ran a good second here the other day, run down by David Donk's horse, but that horse ran a winning race. I defaulted to Christophe Clement, and I thought, you know, without Joel Rosario riding this horse, I thought maybe people might be, you know, more inclined to want to play a horse. Horse is a full to, is actually a half to Too Sexy.
7th race.
Who's running in the 7th race today.
Yep.
And Too Sexy is a quality road, is a good sire, but More Than Ready is a more effective turf sire. Christophe Clement, for what it's worth, at Naira, with his 2-year-old first-time stars in turf sprints, he's now 8 for 32 with an ROI of around 376. He had a loser the other day, but the horse ran very well, ran second, I think. At a big price to that. Actually, that was a slow race. The tip horse, you added 1, but that was the race only got a 59 buyer for what it's worth. But I would make much of it. Thought these horses were bred, and I sandwiched them around Wesley Ward's horses.
2, Evan Harlan, who we both have 4th. The Dam is a half to Miss Temple City, and this horse is by Miss Temple City.
And
so I'm just.
Parson is Partisan Politics the one that's a half to full to Miss Temple City?
I don't remember.
So if the Dam is a half to Miss Temple City
and has the same
Temple
size,
City,
yeah, I was trying to figure this out.
3/4,
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3/8.
So I don't know.
7/16,
Mother's sister's
9/16.
cousin or something. I have no clue.
I know if you have the same. I don't. It's a little confused. It's a little.
It's
too
the
early
half
for that.
sister's father.
Yeah. No, I've left that
like a
horse in
Springer
as well.
episode.
The Dam, there's good turf in the 2nd Dam as well. Yeah. First fall from her. Couple from. I was surprised Graham Osh was running his Practical Joke on the turf. Haven't seen any Practical Jokes in the turf so far, but he's been very good so far as a dirt sire. We've seen a couple winners here recently.
Yeah. Dam was
David Donk horse was a Practical Joke, and we saw the Todd Fletcher maiden that broke his maiden on the first race on Belmonte.
This horse's Dam was 1 for 10 overall, 0 for 4 on the turf, though. And like you, I don't have a Practical Joke on the turf. Hey, listen, he must see something we don't. Johnny Velasquez rides those. Johnny back from Royal Ascot. What's that look for?
When do you see yourself going over to Royal Ascot? The Queen didn't go this year.
June 31st.
The Queen didn't go this year. Is she okay?
June
Do you know any
31st.
stories on that?
There was no royal procession at all this year.
Oh.
I think it's still COVID
Prince
related.
Charles was there, though, I think, on opening day.
Well, they can, I guess if you're the prince, you can go wherever you want, but there was no royal procession.
The Queen must have been bummed. She loves
I think those. I'll tell you what, the bookie shops were unhappy. They take big money
yeah,
on
big action
on
on
what
what they
color
wear.
dress she wears and stuff like that.
We should maybe start taking action, when sports betting gets legal in New York on sort of, what your hair is going to look like on a day-to-day basis, because it's got a lot going on over there today.
You trust my integrity that much?
You make a great point. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, my Lord. No. I think it looks good today.
When a huge bet, yeah, I wouldn't.
There's a lot of nature help here today.
When a huge bet comes in on Mohawk late and drives the odds down.
I can't wear on. There's no Mohawks.
It'll be like those.
I had my Mohawk last
tennis, year. Do you know about the tennis conspiracy that was covered at Betfair years ago?
No.
Where the heavy underdog kept getting all the action. They ended up a slight favorite going them out. A heavy underdog in an early match. I'm not sure it was Wimbledon. It might have been. It was a very big match.
Okay.
And the favorite, the guy who should have been favored, the better player, won the first round, and the odds went even lower on the other guy. And then I think in the second set, the favorite pulled up lame.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like a tip on a dead crab. That's like a tip on a dead crab.
It's not that long ago. I mean, it's probably it might be in the last 20 years. You never read about that?
No.
I'll look for it on Google. I'll send you a link to it. Oh, it was a big story.
That's great.
I'm sure a lot of people know about that. So, yeah, it's a fun.
That was like getting hit by the pitch in the 1918 World Series was the indicator that the fix was on. First batter, Eddie Seacott had to hit the first batter.
8 Men Out, John Sayles. Great movie.
Fantastic.
John Sayles made a lot of great movies.
Yep.
A lot of great movies. Let's take a look at highest honors in race number 4.
We're on to the 4th, Francisco, Steve, whoever's there.
Okay. It's a very relaxed day. This is highest honors with the racetrack when the rail was dead, where an unnamed person was on the rail. I don't want to rehash any old wounds.
It's our buddy looking at bikinis on the rail.
Yes, it is. Highest honors got the trip, and he really didn't run that badly in the Travers. I'm going to tell a quick funny story.
Okay.
So,
tell us a quick funny story, Andy.
Late June,
okay.
I was out in Las Vegas with my friend Bruce of that year, and highest honors had already run twice because he had run that race. He had run his maiden race at Belmont. And looking at bikinis, I believe was scheduled to run his debut as a 3-year-old the next day. He won. I watched on the plane coming back. And I was on the phone with Chad Brown, and I was in the casino, and I said, I wonder if I can bet futures on the Travers. I wonder if they'll let me bet them. And we were joking around and saying, I'm going to bet highest honors and look at bikinis. One horse just broke his maiden, and the other one who hasn't even run since his debut in like October. And they wouldn't take bets on it. I wasn't surprised they wouldn't. The amazing thing was, obviously they ran like second to last, and actually he ran fine in the Travers. He ran 6th. They both actually ran in the Travers. I mean, it was pretty incredible that they actually both made the Travers.
No question about it.
Yeah, anyway, I digress. What do you do with this horse? By the way, you're on race 5. We're talking about race 4. Steve is getting a little antsy. Those are the race 5 picks.
Wow.
We definitely don't like the 11 or 9 in this race. We're sick guys, but we definitely figured them out. Steve, you got really ahead of yourself.
I don't know.
He was so proud of all the great work they did.
I didn't know what to do. I put him second.
I did too. But his first race back was so bad.
For a guy that
usually
ordinarily has them ready. I mean, he did not run. He made a miniature move on approaching the turn. He ran for about 3.5 seconds, and that was it.
Now, to be fair, and I think you'll agree, listen, there's nothing you can do about a horse that obviously you're not out for 20 months unless there's a serious issue. On the other hand, Brixton Moore was out for a long time, and look what he did when he came back. But
you're not going to hold it against him.
Well, I hold it against him, but I'm not going to be shocked when he gets back to his better form in his second or third start.
You're not going to hold it completely against him. But yes, that has to leave a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. You know what was funny to me though, Andy? He was 9 of 5. He didn't even take as much money as I thought. I thought he was going to be close to even money that day.
Great points for you. I mean, the other one was a biblically great point.
I mean,
this one is just your run-of-the-mill great point.
I don't know what to do with this horse today. And here's the other thing.
Is our horse really going to be favored? I guess.
The other problem, that's not really a problem. I feel like this horse has run the races.
True Perfecto?
No, highest honors. That would
but we don't
really beat this field.
We don't know if he's anywhere close to that
either.
Horse.
Yeah. I mean, Superfecto.
I scored with Superfecto when he broke his maiden.
I have
great love for him.
I scored when he won on January 6th.
Oh, so what?
Right away. Yours is fine, mine's not fine.
Sport.
Your exacta yesterday, my exacta Friday.
Your favorite show is
Can't even talk about it. The Rainbow Warrior, Jeff Gordon, right? That's who he is in NASCAR.
You know
Listen,
me, I love
here's-
NASCAR. I can't watch NASCAR.
I can tell
enough.
you one thing. Johnny
Tell me
Velazquez
one
is
thing.
going to have to
You're
be
gonna tell me
aggressive
like
with this
6
horse.
things.
Because when this
Yes,
horse is
I
ridden
agree.
aggressively, he runs well. When he's ridden passively, he stinks.
I agree with
so
that. I totally agree with
Lost
that. I
in Rome,
completely and totally agree with that.
Lost in Rome's going to be leaving from the inside.
Right. But Johnny's got to go.
But Johnny's got to either get in
Completely
front of him
agree.
or lap on him. He
I
cannot
completely
be. You cannot let this horse. It looks like to me when this horse is not.
He wants to be on the edge of this guy.
And you don't keep on top of him.
And he sets
he
some
just
quick paces
releases
and
the
still
bit
won.
and the day's over.
I'm with you. I
He's
don't
gotta
trust
be
him.
on top
I
of
didn't think
him.
he'd be favored in here.
I
David's
didn't
usually
either.
right, so I will respect that David
Yeah.
will be. Listen, I'm not totally against Lost in Rome. He had everything his own way when he won 2 back, and I think that 94 figure is probably not indicative overall of his ability, but I'm not so sure he can't run an 86 in here and win. And if, as you say, Superfecto isn't ridden that aggressively, I don't think he's impossible to win this race. Is that fair?
Yeah. See, the horse for me, if I think Lost in Rome has to go, and I believe that Superfecto has to be on top of him, maybe there's a little pace. Winston's Chance's best races are when he's closer.
You know I love Winston. But I got mad love for Winston
I would think
Chance.
a horse like Portos.
I got a poster of Winston Chance up in my apartment.
I would think that
I worship it
a horse like
constantly.
Portos could be a little bit dangerous. He's never gotten the one turn here in Belmont. He's got one turn race on his card. It was off an 11-month break at Gulfstream. He came back to win, and then he got beat by Lone Rock going 1.5 miles.
I think Portos is one of those horses that, for me, he's a polarizing horse. You either think he's an interesting Todd Fletcher horse that he thought a lot of earlier in his career that's coming to fruition, which very well could be the case, or like me, you think he's all phonied up with nowhere to go.
He could be.
Yeah.
He could very well be.
I think I think there's an argument to be made that he's kind of the right horse in here, sneakily improving, cutting back. Todd tried him 1.5 miles. He's maybe better going shorter, sits a good trip in this race. I just don't trust this horse, but I can understand the argument against that opinion.
Yeah, I think what helps his cause as the other horse, so to speak, is Lost in Rome and Winston Chance kind of have the same running style. They're both going to be forward, whereas he's going to be coming out the back. And if you hope there's a little movement up front, I think he's the right third horse. But I think if Superfecto shows up, they're going to have
See what happens.
their running shoes on.
Race number 4. Race number 5. We already know.
But you like the 11.
Yeah. So in race number 5, why don't we talk about your top pick, Infringement?
Yeah, Infringement, first-time turf. 2 of the 3 siblings have won on the turf. Dam was 4 for 15 on the grass. She's by Temple City. She gets Lasix for the first time. She won her debut. It was a slow race. And then she ran 3 subsequent races. She ran 4 times. She ran third, second time out. Her last 3 races, I mean, on her PPs, it looks like a horse that she was bleeding. It looks like a horse that needed Lasix, but as a 2-year-old, you cannot run on Lasix.
Well, I don't know about that, Anthony, because from a speed figure standpoint, she didn't run that much worse in her debut. She looks like a horse that might not be very good.
And those last 3 races.
No, her last race was bad.
Her last 2 races
no,
were bad.
I don't agree. From a speed figure standpoint, I just think that she's just not that good.
All right.
But she might be a turf horse.
She might be a turf horse, and I think
pick
the
her
Lasix.
second, so I'm not
I think the Lasix is absolutely going to help.
I'm going to make a further point about her pedigree, and this is something I'd like to impart on you, and maybe you'll listen to this. Her dam was a good turf horse, relatively speaking. She was 4 for 15. I mean, it was relatively cheap, but she was a nice turf horse. It was good. 2 of her 3 foals were on the turf. The thing about them is neither one of them moved up particularly from dirt to turf.
Okay.
But I think there's an important factor, and this is something that Tony Kobitz taught me years ago. It's important to look at the sires, especially when you find a broodmare that's a decent enough turf horse. And sometimes you look and you see there's 3 foals and they all sunk in the turf. And then you look at them, and they're all negative turf sires. Mm-hmm. And in this case, they weren't particularly good turf sires. This is a Temple City. So now you've got a horse with a good turf dam that's got a legitimate turf sire. So I think that kind of moves up the pedigree even more, and I think it increases the likelihood that the pedigree comes to fruition.
I don't.
And I think that's something I'm glad you've started to look at these turf pedigrees, but start to look at who the sires.
No, I do. I've been writing that down too because that's something I learned.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this: if you really want to stretch it to an old, this horse's best race came with some moisture in the ground.
Let's stick to things that matter.
I'm just saying.
Instead of your insanity. Let's just go back to Tom Morley's horse needing more distance in yesterday's
I'm just saying.
race. Let's go back to Tom's horse needing more distance.
Horse best dirt race with some moisture in the ground.
Go back to the horse needing more distance in the 9th race. I'm going to keep bringing these things up. By the way, 76. Yes, winner, chicken dinner, Linda Screet.
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna? No. When Anthony texted me, he said his friend Phil hit the pick 5. I said, how could you have hit it? I misread it. I said, you couldn't add it. Linda Scrit.
No shot.
But Phil did.
Phil
took a worse beat than me in the first race. I used the 7.
That's got to be 7,000, 7,000, right?
That was a lot of money. Anyway, as far as Factorization, we'll take a look at Factorization winning back on September 5th. Oh, not winning, excuse me, running third to Sarah Love. I thought it ran very well this day. This was an extremely fast pace at Saratoga. Finished third, beating a length and a half. Last time out, Factorization was involved in probably the fastest pace we've seen in a turf sprint in about 2 years.
Yeah. Yep.
That was a race that completely and totally melted down. And some will look and say, oh, it's 7 furlongs. Well, Factorization is the controlling speed in today's race. And I think she's actually shown in her races that she's pretty good. So I'm taking her to wire the field. But I absolutely am with you on infringement. I think it's a very interesting, usable horse in this race. I got to hear my fuzzy here from my, Mitch Friedman teases me, he says, you don't pick enough of my horses. But Mitch and I have a very, very high ROI together. Okay. Well, I had a horse of his. Yeah, about 10 years ago, I loved a horse of his in a turf sprint that won by a nose at Saratoga. Paid $17, too. Carys Dreamer's a little interesting. If you watch her last race, she was pretty wide in there, and I think she's going to really benefit from a little less distance. She's not that bad, Carys Dreamer.
Okay.
I would throw her in. This is an entry where you won't really get affected by it. Throw Carys Dreamer in, whether it's exactas or tries or supers somewhere. I think she has a real chance to get a piece in here.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else?
No, that starts the pick 6, by the way.
It starts the pick 6, by the way. No carryover, 15% takeout. It was hit yesterday. There were, by the way,
4 horses to the carryover, right?
16th ball,
16th ball was carrying over, yep.
Yeah. All right. Take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile.
That's me.
Not Anthony Stabile.
I can't believe you're not hot up here today.
I'm changing my name. You have a very cooling effect. It's not even remotely warm.
This is the hottest
day
we've been up here.
It's not even remotely warm up here.
Wow.
You trying to come up with some excuse for that thing you got in your head? What's going on over there? Really, I'd rather be bald.
Follicle envy.
But yeah, I'd rather. Yeah, you know me.
If you're listening out there, it's a great name for a horse.
In my list of neuroses, as you know,
envy.
My hair isn't one of them. By the way, I think my hair looks great.
It's not. I know it's not a financial term, but please, follicle envy.
So, Anthony picks Dumpf here. We'll take a look at Dumpf's last race. I would have bet Daddy knows if I had handicapped that race. I did not because I didn't Talking Horses. So you aren't worried about this one coming back in 8 days, are you? Irad Ortiz, overbet horse off an 8-day layoff. This 8 days doesn't worry you. You're so random.
I wanted to make a pick in this race.
What is going on over there, by the way?
I have no clue.
The porch at my mom's house.
I wanted to make a pick in this race, like I wanted to.
There's a dog. There's a dog
running a marathon today.
You see that? Look, it's a dog.
I don't know what you want me to do, man.
That must be Kinchin's house.
I don't know whose house it is. Pink furniture? It looks pink,
No,
right?
That's the TV.
That's the tint? I don't know.
I like the dog.
I could have picked the 40-11 here. I
Anthony,
took Dumpf.
you picked Dumpf, who's going to be a heavy favorite. So
what do you want me to tell you, man?
I don't know. Tell us why you picked the horse. That's what we want you to do on the show. Discuss why you make your selection.
Dumpf and direct order.
Okay, let's stick with Dumpf.
I didn't have the morning line. See, I thought
you didn't think that Dumpf was going to be a heavy favorite dropping down for Diodoro with Irad Ortiz? Then that's like the worst opinion you've had all month.
I thought there was a chance they would both be like in the 2-to-1 range.
I thought there's a chance that you were drunk when you handicapped this race. Now we got an arm.
I was drunk last night, but I handicapped this race well before. I don't know. You're very distracting.
You can still tell us why you like.
I mean, he just ran against Beto. I mean, the last time out, that horse that won started running at the half. It was old school Vladimir Serin. That horse started running at the half mile. Publius Cyrus last Saturday.
Okay, the reason to like Dunfin here, since Anthony refuses to discuss the race because I don't know what he was doing when he handicapped it, is that he's probably faster than these horses, and that's the reason to like him. But
he has the most representative races.
Drop down 8 days later, and he's going to be bet heavily here. Kumar's a late scratch, by the way. My fourth choice, the 10.
I mean, who else do you want here besides direct order?
Do you see who's in here?
Did I see who's in here?
There's a very infamous horse in this race for you and I that you wouldn't expect to be in here. Let's take a look at direct order and Playwright. Running 1-2, 2 back for direct order.
I'm surprised she stayed in. She's entered Thursday. She's entered Thursday against Phillies.
Okay. Maybe short on both. Anyway, here's direct order getting the money. He's the alternative. He's got the races fast enough to win. Playwright never wins. I don't know where else you're supposed to go in this race either. My only weird horse is to throw in number 1.
Claim back by Ariaga, who ran this horse twice.
What about Peter Miller, the drop down with Here Comes Doc? I'm getting with you on this one. That guy's got to win a race around here.
He did.
Oh, he did?
They knew on Friday.
The first
Wild
race.
Union.
That was some.
That was him.
That was some they knew.
And see, here's the problem with a they knew.
Here's the thing.
How can you have when that horse is 6-5?
It's no dog.
When that horse is 6-5, that horse is probably winning.
You
right?
make a great
That's
point.
a they knew. What do you do with a horse like this who, I mean, he has one race on his card that might get him a piece of this.
Was race 2 back? Gives him a shot here.
That's the race that gives him a shot for a piece of this.
His last race was atrocious.
It was awful.
And
it was here. It was against 20s. Now, it was against Malibu Pro and horses that would be odds on in this race, but
didn't do a lot of running.
He didn't run 2 steps. What are you supposed to do with him? I don't know what you do with him. The problem is, Dumbsaw said, here we go. Go ahead, what?
I just want to know how you get that.
You just
let
it grow, man.
When it happens? What
Nothing.
do you say to him? You say, like,
see, this is partially Ruben's fault because he talks me into
look funny for Andy.
He talks me into letting my hair grow a little bit, and I couldn't put product in today. I'd have been melted like Frosty the Snowman. So I let it just do it. I let it do its natural thing.
I think a mullet, it'll work for you going forward. Race number 7 kicks off the late pick 4.
Don't stop.
No, I think a mullet will work for you.
Should go on vacation.
One of the questions about race number 7 is, what do you do with Kyoto? Kyoto runs a race. She's better than these horses. Here's a race at Saratoga. There was an inquiry in this race. They left So Gracious, a big price up. Talk about this is what Saratoga 5.5 furlong races are all about, right? You know, and I can remember, you really almost never watched. I don't think you watched a single race at Saratoga the whole summer. I watched this race out in the backyard with Chad Brown, and there was just he and I, and 3 other people in the entire area. Last summer at Saratoga. This summer, I cannot. All of us that were there cannot wait to see you all back in Saratoga.
Yes.
Any memory from Saratoga last summer, basically, is just depressing. Even when if a friend of yours won or somebody won a race, it was just such a lonely experience.
I'll be back in my broadcast position in Section B.
Nice.
And I'll be hosting breakfast at Saratoga this year.
Wow. What a way to start your day. Breakfast and Anthony.
Yep. If she runs that race, I mean, a handful of races when Jason Service had her in the 20s in 2020, 2019, she's going to win.
She feels like a bet against.
I feel like
she's going to be a pumpkin now.
What we saw last year from Service, and again, she's going from Jason Service to Chad Brown, and her last 3 races for Jason Service were not close to her best race for Chad Brown. And now you see another lengthy layoff from September to now. That's quick math, almost 10 months. Listen, Rudy does a great job. I'm Rudy's biggest fan, literally and figuratively.
You know, I had a nice.
But now she goes to Rudy, and you have the long layoff, and she seemed to drop off last year. If there's another drop off, she's getting nothing in here.
I had a nice chat with Rudy yesterday for a while. I spoke the other day with your man Louis Lasnero for a while. I'm moving on your people. I'm just telling you right now, I'm moving in on your people. I'm letting it out to everybody right now. I'm just letting you know.
That's your chance.
You could have some problems.
That's your chance at moving in with my people.
You may want to talk to Louis about that. Louis and I had a discussion.
That's a 0.
Louis proposed a trade, which I didn't accept. But I'm telling you, you better ask Louis about it. If he's watching, I know he's laughing. I don't disagree with Anthony. The horse we'll look at here is the horse to beat. And I was going to pick him. I just swapped picks because of Anthony's different, not same horse on top. Because I didn't have a strong enough opinion to really marry it. If Time Limit runs the race, this is a race this horse ran as a 2-year-old, and this time Alms was pretty darn good. And
she won 4 in a row at one point.
Came back as good as ever on the dirt. This is the right surface. She looks like the speed on paper. Saya's supposed to go with her.
Yep.
I'm with you. I think she's the horse to beat in here.
She's the speed on paper. She has a guy on her back that is aggressive and uses speed to his advantage, even when it doesn't look like he has that big of an advantage. She's supposed to be gone. She ran a race as a 2-year-old, and the fact that she came back, and I know the figure was not a big figure last time, but the fact that it was on a muddy sealed track, off all that time, and she ran as well as she did last time, I got to think getting back to her, what so far has seemed to be her best surface. I mean, her 2-year-old, she has a couple of 2-year-old races on the dirt that weren't that bad, but this turf race was just much better than anything else.
Christophe Clement has 2 horses in here. Honey Pants might be the one that takes more attention. Stake-faced, Irad riding that one. And I'm not against Honey Pants. She absolutely can win this race. You know, we both have her very much in the mix. I don't know. I'm not quite sold on her. I'm just not quite sold on her. I'm not sure what to make of her, but she did keep some reasonable company. She can obviously win this race. I more prefer Too Sexy, who I just thought she was in the wrong race last time. That race was dominated up front, and I don't think she ran that badly. There's a chance she's improved. I know she's a bit of a money burner, but I thought she'd be at least a fair enough price today. I know David's got time limit 6 to 1. I don't believe she'll be 6 to 1.
No, she'll be closer to 4 to 1, right?
I think she'll be shorter in here.
Yeah.
It's a tricky race. I wouldn't, you know, David. Kyoto's a hard horse. You know, Kyoto could go off at 7 to 1 here. She could go off at 3 to 1 here.
Honey Pants is going to take money. It's a Rattitude Junior. And I'll say this too. She's getting back to what she probably wants to do.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure she doesn't, but I'm not sure she does. I didn't think her Stuart Manor was any good. I thought she ran a good rail and just sort of sucked up for second. I think that's a bit of a phonied up figure.
Okay, so can we say this? Would you say she's at least...
I don't know.
At least equal?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not ruling it out.
I think she's going to want the cutback.
You want this to be black and white.
No,
I don't have an opinion.
I don't.
I think there's a let me finish. I think there's a possibility that she's as good, if not better, at 6 furlongs. But I think there's a possibility she's not.
I know
you want to be definitive.
I think she wants. I just think she's going to want to get back to it.
Well, okay. I don't.
But she's going to be too short of a price, I feel, to find out.
I think
she's going to be 5 to 2, 2 to 1 in here.
The weird horse in here is Mr. Carys, who maybe that first race isn't as good as the 83 buyer suggests. She was okay. What has happened to her? And I watched her races. I wasn't overly impressed by what I saw out in California. Comes back to New York, though. Are you sure Mr. Carys can't run better? I mean, it's not like she didn't show any ability first time out.
No, she ran good. She actually got into a little, a smidge of traffic on the turn.
Watch that race outside.
I watched that. I called that race.
That's probably why you can't hear the call outside at Aqueduct. So.
Mr. Carys is a Game of Thrones reference. She fired at first asking. In Dothraki, Dracarys means to
Moving on,
fire.
We now enter
Valerian, rather.
The Twilight Zone portion of today's Talking
You knew I was
Horses.
picking this horse back.
No,
Come on, man.
actually, I saw her and I said, thank God Anthony won't pick this ridiculous horse again. Anthony, this is a terrible pick.
I don't know why you say that.
You know what's interesting? Everybody watching knows why I said it.
Horse is going to be
everybody. Your mother, a day after her birthday, if she's watching.
Her birthday was Thursday.
I can't believe that Anthony's picking this horse. It's so embarrassing.
Caught a muddy track last time.
So what?
Back
Do you
to
know
a fast
how tough
round.
this field
Horse
is?
Horse is going to be 20 to 1.
Horse should be 20,000 to 1 in here.
I'll take $1 to win.
Anthony, this horse is ridiculous.
Okay.
This horse is going to deal with Tivoli's Twirl? Oh, you weren't worried about that horse?
So it's going to be in front of Tivoli's Twirl.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I don't think this horse will be in front of anybody at any point in this race.
Oh, he'll be on a lead.
Oh, okay, there you have it. Okay.
He'll be on the lead.
Have at it. She's 50 to 1. He's got absolutely no chance on paper. Have at it.
He's got a couple of, he's going to have to deal with some horses in here. Sinful Dancer makes a lot of sense.
What inclination do you have that this horse can go more than about 3 furlongs? And don't give me the muddy track crap, because that's nonsense.
I want to see this horse.
This was in front on a muddy track.
Right. I don't think the horse necessarily handled it.
Really?
I do. A ton of pedigree.
Why? She ran the exact same race she ran in a dry track.
He
ran the same race he ran in a dry track. This race is about as tough as it gets. You want to bet this horse and lose your money, have at it. I recommend, though, all you fathers out there, don't spoil your Father's Day by losing with arms and armor. I know, I'll look like a bigger idiot than I already am for knocking a 50 to 1 shot, but you can't back this horse up with an opinion. This is ridiculous, Anthony. You know what's good, though? When he runs 10th again, next time he comes back in a maiden claimer, you can say he had the rail twice, and he hated the rail.
I won't bother with him if he loses today.
Oh, yeah.
But he'll probably win today.
$1,000 says when he drops into a maiden claiming race at Saratoga, Anthony loves him. I'll probably pick him too. That's the embarrassing part. We'll take a look at Sinful Dancer. You've got stakes horses in this race. That's the reason that I understand you want to be silly, and I had no problem.
I don't want to be silly.
Yeah, you're being silly. This horse, Sinful Dancer, is very, very good on the dirt. And he doesn't need the lead to win, and there's going to be pace. But this horse is good. Really good New York bred. Took a shot, and the reason I think they took a shot with him on the turf last time became apparent yesterday. They wanted to see if it was worth running him in yesterday's race, and that's why they ran him last time. Well, they found out it wasn't. But now he's back in the right surface, and he's quite obviously the horse to beat. But he's got a real rival in American Revolution. It's kind of funny that American Revolution ran against Macron in his debut, but that's an asides thing. This horse comes out of Bob's Edge is a stakes horse. Mandaloon, probably going to be the preemptive likely Derby winner in there. And you know what's interesting about him is that he moved, and we'll take a look at the replay of his race. We'll show his start, by the way. He blew the break. He's the number 3 horse in here. He was a WinStar horse at the time. And he's going to blow the break, if we can get it up there. Okay, there he is, blowing the break. Now, Mandaloon's easy to see because he's well in front of him. He's a Juddmonte horse. And when we end up picking the race up again, you're going to see that he's last now, okay? We'll pick it up around the turn, and Mandaloon will be inside of him. And Mandaloon basically beats him to a hole. We can show the whole race you guys want, which is perfectly fine with me. Or not, okay. Mandaloon is on the 2 path with the yellow hat. He moves outside. Mandaloon is going to move out right now inside of him, and he basically beats him to the hole right in here. And as the leader is drifting, and that's the Bob horse, he's got to go around. Now, I'm not saying he ran better than Mandaloon. There wasn't a significant difference, frankly, between the performance of him and Mandaloon. Now, this was a race that fell apart, to be fair, but this horse ran. Obviously, the connections saw China Horse Club, WinStar. It's a good horse. We got to move this horse to Todd Fletcher. No disrespect to the former trainer, but their best horses either seem to have gone to Bob Baffert or Todd Fletcher, and they moved to Todd. This is an unusually good New York bred. You've got a situation between the 2 and 9 where the room for them to lose is pretty small, and then you even got the $375,000 2-year-old purchase for Bob Baffert that's now in John Terranova's barn, a New York bred that was running out there. I mean, there's a heck of a lot going on in this race, Anthony. That's why taking a horse like Arms and Armor is silly, not because, you know, you got this theory about him, that's fine, I don't agree with it, but this is, if this were, Arms and Armor's dropping into a maiden claiming race, have at it. This is a stakes race here.
No, I'm going to take a chance with him just getting loose on the lead, and I'm going to use the 3 of them.
I'll tell you something, Nemo's Fortune, who I've completely left out, not impossible in here. His dirt races are good. I'm sure you have the same tip I do on God's Will. They've good luck to him against this field, but maybe he'll outrun his odds. You've also got Linda Rice's horse, the 5 Umbria, who's a half to Amundsen and Winner's Laugh. 2 horses not only were good, but both were precocious. So you've got, I mean, I thought that the race with Big Bobby on May 31st was a contentious New York bred race. This might be about as tough, theoretically, on paper, as tough a New York bred maiden race as I've ever seen.
Tough race.
Ever seen.
Tough race.
I mean, there's a possibility that there aren't just New York bred stakes horses in here, and I don't mean that just to knock the New York breds, but you may have open stakes horses in this race. In fact, I will be surprised if we don't have a stakes in this race, whether New York bred or open, if not more. There's a lot going on, and this is, I think, a very interesting race. Really, I thought it was the most interesting race in the card besides the poker. As far as the poker, I'm not trying to beat Raging Bull, and neither are you. Look at his last race. Anthony, I'll let you talk about it. I thought his last race was unbelievable.
Last race in a career of really, really good races.
Some really good races.
He's had some really, really good races. This was his best by far. He was more tactical. He was closer to a...
Wicked pace that totally fell apart. The 2 horses that evolved in the pace. One of them's in here. The other one came back to win. The other one is
I thought I was going to talk about it.
Go ahead, sorry.
Faster pace, 2 horses involved in a wicket. Listen, this was the best race he's ever run.
He made the first move, and all the others tried to make runs at him in a race that was essentially collapsing, and he just kept finding more and running away from him. The funny argument is when I started looking at his PPs, the second best race he ever ran might be when he came off a long layoff last year in the Shoemaker. So he might be very good off long layoffs, but he has had 2.5 months since that race. I'm not trying to beat this horse. He may just be better than these horses.
And I think now at 6, you're probably going to see this a little bit more, right? You'll see he runs them here. This on the calendar, a bit of a perfect prep for our 4-star David Saratoga. And then I would imagine you won't see him until the fall, either at Woodbine with the borders open now, maybe in the Woodbine Mile.
I think we'll see him in the 4-star Dave, and we'll probably see him in the Breeders' Cup Mile.
Right, maybe somewhere in between.
And I know it seems far-fetched looking at the race, and Veronese, the other Peter Brandt horse, despite the fact that he's a talented 1.5-mile horse. The last race he ran was behind Sotsas, who last year won the Arc de Triomphe for owner Peter Brandt as well.
I don't think I remember that Muda Makina ran behind Sotsas. Did you?
No, I didn't either. That's a Clement filly as well. This horse is probably in here to be used as a rabbit, I would guess.
Right, and I would also imagine this horse off of that almost 2-year layoff now, with, ran well, got to be 2 lengths to Sotsas in last seen. Maybe there's a chance, they use him as a little bit of a rabbit.
Bowling Green.
And get him ready for the distance races in Saratoga, sure.
I couldn't agree more. This horse clearly has ability. There's no question about it.
I put him 4th because he clearly has ability, and, I mean...
Don't use him in your supers.
No.
Get Smokin'. Get Smokin' is a really, really good horse. And he's not going to get cooked in the same pace that he got cooked in at Keeneland. This is his win in the Seek again. And he did show going 1 mile and a 16th at Tampa that he can stalk a quick pace if somebody wants to go in there. The horse I'd be worried about more than the 3 is the 7 Rost.
Raised.
Raised.
I mean, if he's not in here to go to the lead, I don't know why he's here, right? So, I thought it made things a little difficult
to get Smokin' up.
I thought it made things a little difficult for Get Smokin' today, but you're right. He did show an ability to rate. He's clearly better when he's on the front end, but he did show an ability to rate.
What do you think's going on over there? You try to figure out what's going on over there.
No.
That looks like a.
I don't want to.
That looks like, I thought for a second it was like a pantaloon with those shoes and the dog.
That's what's going on there.
I hope we just show
dog
this
answering
feed
nature's
on
call. That's what's going on off the screen right here on the set.
Listen, he got away with a ridiculously slow pace.
Proverbial murder on the front end.
But he also came home in 45-1.
Okay.
So it's not as though he didn't do any running in there. This is a good horse. Tom Bush has done a great job with this horse. It's a horse that hinted as a 3-year-old that he was a good horse. He was a better horse than Decorated Invader. And unlike Decorated Invader, he's gone on with it. He's moved on.
He's moved on.
He's a good horse, and I don't want to just dismiss him in here. It's a much tougher spot.
Yeah.
As far as front run the Fed,
he's scratched.
Oh, no, he's not.
Oh, I have.
He's not scratched.
Okay. Well, good.
He's not scratched. Mr. Buckley scratched in the race before.
Okay.
Thank you for that. He's trying to get through here. You can see him. That's towards the inside, getting outside. He ran okay in here. Casa Creed showed they were better than them, but he was on top of the slower pace. But I think a little more pace actually may help him today. I think he's a very talented horse, front run the Fed. I don't think he's good as Raging Bull. I think there's a chance he's the second best horse in this race. I've liked a lot of his races, so I think he's very dangerous in this race. He and Get Smoking, they're the 2 likeliest upsetters. As far as Tell Your Daddy, there's no question this is one of the claims of the year by Tom Morley. But one thing I want to point about Tell Your Daddy that I think is very important and more important than Get Smokin', he has really benefited from the very slow paces because he's been on top of slower paces, and now he's in a very tough race where the pace figures to be stronger. And I think that works against him. And today is a real acid test to see if he's improved. He's definitely improved. Tom has done a great job with him, and in no way do I mean to dismiss him and the great claim he made. But I think the dynamics today will determine whether or not he's a horse that really can move forward or maybe had his day in the sun in the right spots. Is that fair?
I think that's more than fair. Yeah. I think Tom's done it. I know Tom's done a great job with him. I think he's a nice horse, and
he is a nice horse.
I'm going to try and round out the exacta with him.
Okay. Alexandra will show her winning the Jaipur last year. We got to rush to the last race. She is in foal, in case anybody cares.
Yep.
By the way, and Anthony will back this up, we've seen plenty of horses win races when they were in foals and run well.
Dozens.
I'm only laughing because I'm thinking of Tom Worley, and I wish that Maggie was here to laugh about this when my friend Nick Tamaro was on the Capital OTB show in Saratoga and declared one of their horses in foal, and it wasn't.
This was some
really
effort.
funny.
She's a perfect 3 for 3 here at Belmont Park. Her success has come in the sprint. She's going to try and stretch out.
I don't care what they say. This is not a miler.
Yeah, she's not a miler, and you know, she scratched
I
out.
love her. I put her forward. I love her. I
scratched out of the Jaipur because of the soft ground, I would assume. She gets
No,
put.
she had a foot issue. She had a foot issue. I thought they said. I thought maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was a foot thing. Might have been soft,
came
whatever.
back in 2 weeks. I would imagine it was because of the ground.
Yeah, you're probably right. If she's back in 2 weeks, it probably wasn't anything major.
I wouldn't worry about it.
When she ran a mile, she wasn't as good as she got, to be fair. It is a one-turn race.
But she looks like one of those horses that has that 3/16 of a mile kick.
She also doesn't look like a horse that's in her good form anymore.
She's in
That's my
terrible
problem.
form.
When she was good enough to win this
I'm
race.
her biggest fan, believe me. When she was good enough to win
I
this
love her
race,
too.
her best effort gets her a piece.
Yeah.
And now she hasn't run well in...
Let's be fair. Her best effort is comparable or not better than a lot of races Raging Bull has run.
Right. Raging Bull probably has the best race, but she has more of a overall...
He's got 3 or 4 of the best races.
Right, but she has more of
a
a complete resume where she's run 4 or 5 in a row at one point in her career.
We got 1 minute left for the last.
Go ahead.
Who'd you pick in the last
30
seconds?
I drew him with the 4:14 I have in the last. You and I are
Okay, here's what I did. I don't like anybody that's running the turf. I think that's fairly clear. Anybody sane that's running the turf.
Fair enough.
And I went off the reservation. I am the first to admit I picked a horse that's probably an idiotic bet. At least I know my man Heeman Harkey likes to go. And this horse has the biggest pedigree in this race by far.
Oh, yeah.
This horse after 3 turf winners, very solid turf runners that many of you know. Honorable Dylan actually sneakily a tap it, okay as a turf. I know this is a ridiculous horse. I totally get it.
That's okay.
Throw this horse in for 50 cents in your pick 4s or pick 5s. And the 8 horse, this is a David Aragona special. You can't watch the replay, but in her 1 turf race there was an issue. This horse got completely backed up, and this horse half outrageous bet. So I put some goofies there, along with the 6 Sweet Ashley, who's a half 2. VIP Nation.
I have it, yes.
VIP Nation.
I closed my form.
Who is a painter, and this is a Bellamy Road, so I think it's sort of neutral.
Neutral.
So I just went kind of goofy here. Okay?
I didn't.
No, that's fine. Listen, I get it, but I'm going a little goofy.
14 draws in off the A's. Make sure you recognize
nobody in this
that.
race I wanted to bet. However, Naira bets. We will match for $200 of your initial deposit. Think of Performer and think of all you can do for him. And join Naira bets for Performer.
Even know what that means at this point.
At our good friends at Claiborne Farm. Also, 50-50-50-50 with Belmont, Churchill, Pimlico. Opt in. It's not there, but you got to opt in. Always opt in. And also, 12:30 to 6. That means 10 minutes from now. Greg Wolf and I, new father Greg Wolf.
Yes.
We'll be here 12:30 to 6 on FS2. Anthony, thank you.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Great Father's Day. I'm sure we'll be in contact. I will be out next week.
Me and Acacia.
We'll be back on July 1st. Everybody, have a wonderful Father's Day. Thanks so much for joining us. Johnny I up next. Reprise, Scratches and Changes.